She was 7 months pregnant when she found the wedding invitation. Not her wedding, his wedding, to someone else. But that was not the worst part. The worst part was what he told everyone about her. That she lost the baby, that she went crazy, that she had to be sent away for her own good. None of it was true. Margot Sinclair was very much pregnant, very much sane, and very much done being erased. So she did something no one expected. She walked into that wedding, 400 guests, the social elite of Virginia, his new bride in white silk and diamonds, and she brought a folder. What she read from that folder made his mother scream for security, made his brother go pale, made his new bride run down the aisle in her wedding dress. But the real shock, the documents were not about the pregnancy. They were about something far worse. This is the story of how one woman refused to disappear and how one folder burned an empire to the ground. The wedding invitation was ivory linen, expensive, embossed with gold lettering. Her name was not on it. Margot Sinclair stood in the doorway of her small Virginia apartment, 7 months pregnant, holding the envelope that had fallen out of a bundle of forwarded mail. The return address was stamped in elegant script, the Ashford Estate. She knew that address. She had dreamed of living there once. She had imagined raising children there. She had believed with every fiber of her being that it would be her home. The afternoon sun slanted through the dusty blinds. The air conditioner hummed its tired rhythm. Somewhere in the distance, a dog barked. Margot's fingers trembled as she pulled out the card inside. The paper was thick, creamy, the kind that cost more than her weekly grocery budget. Together with their families, Colton James Ashford and Tessa Marie Monroe request the honor of your presence at their wedding. The date was 3 weeks away. Saturday, 4 in the afternoon. Reception to follow. Margot read the words again. Then again? Then one more time, as if the letters might rearrange themselves into something that made sense. As if this might be a different Colton Ashford. A coincidence. A cosmic joke. A terrible, terrible mistake. But the address was the Ashford Estate. The family crest was embossed in the corner. And the handwriting on the envelope, the forwarding label from her old apartment, was definitely real. This was not a mistake. The baby kicked. Hard. Right against her ribs. Like a warning. Or maybe a wake-up call. Or maybe just the reflexive movement of a child who sensed her mother's world was collapsing. Margot lowered herself onto the couch. The springs creaked beneath her weight. She had gained 42 pounds since Colton convinced her to leave the city, since he had sent her away to heal, since he had promised, with tears in his eyes and his hand on her belly, that he would join her soon. That was 5 months ago. 5 months of weekly phone calls that became bi-weekly, then monthly, then nothing at all. 5 months of text messages that went from paragraphs to sentences to single words to silence. 5 months of telling herself he was busy, the merger at work, the family obligations, the stress of planning for a baby. She had made excuses for him. She had defended him to her mother, who never liked him. She had believed, because she needed to believe, that love was enough. She stared at the invitation. The calligraphy was beautiful, flowing, elegant. Someone had spent hours on these letters. Someone had chosen the paper, the font, the gold embossing. Someone had planned every detail of this wedding, and that someone was marrying Colton Ashford, the father of her child, the man who had sworn he loved her, Tessa Marie Monroe. Margot had never heard that name before, but apparently Tessa had been hearing about Margot, the crazy ex-girlfriend, the one who could not let go, the one who invented a pregnancy to trap a good man. Margot's phone buzzed on the coffee table. Emmy's name flashed on the screen. Emmeline Cross, her best friend since college, the one person who had never doubted her. She answered without greeting. The words would not come. Her throat was tight. Her chest was hollow. She felt like she was falling, even though she was sitting still. Margot, you there? I've been trying to reach you all day. Emmy's voice was tight, urgent. Something was wrong, something beyond the invitation. Please tell me you're sitting down. I'm sitting, Margot managed. Have you seen the news? Have you been online at all today? Margot looked at the invitation in her hand, the gold letters gleaming in the afternoon light. I got something in the mail. Oh God. Emmy exhaled sharply. The sound was almost a sob. So you know about the wedding. I'm holding the invitation. It was forwarded from the old apartment. The invitation? How did you get an invitation? That doesn't make any sense. Why would they send you an invitation? Margot turned the envelope over. The forwarding label was from her old address, the one she had shared with Colton in the city, the brownstone with the bay windows and the garden in the back. Someone must have grabbed her mail and sent it along without checking what was inside. A neighbor, maybe, or the new tenants. An innocent mistake that had delivered a devastating blow. It was forwarded, she said. Someone must have collected my mail without looking at it. Jesus, of all the ways to find out. Emmy paused. Her breathing was heavy, controlled. Margot, listen to me. There's something you need to know. Something worse than the wedding. What could be worse? He told everyone you lost the baby. The room tilted. The walls leaned inward. The ceiling pressed down. Margot gripped the arm of the couch with her free hand. Her knuckles went white. What? Colton, he's been telling everyone for months. He said you had a miscarriage at 4 months. He said the grief was too much for you. He said you had a complete mental breakdown afterward. He said you became obsessed with the pregnancy even though it was over. He said you couldn't accept that the baby was gone. Margot's hand moved to her belly. The baby kicked again, rolling, stretching, very much alive, very much real. 7 months of growth, 7 months of doctors' appointments and ultrasounds and vitamins and hope. That's not true, she said. None of that is true. I'm 7 months pregnant. The baby is fine, and I just had a checkup last week. I know it's not true, but Margot, everyone believes him. He's been so convincing. He cried at dinner parties. He talked about grief counseling. He said the loss destroyed you both. He said you refused to accept reality, and he had to get a restraining order for both your sakes. A restraining order against me? He never actually filed one. I checked the court records. There's nothing. But he tells people he did. He tells people you showed up at his office, that you sent threatening letters, that you called his family and said terrible things. I haven't spoken to anyone in his family for 5 months. I haven't been to his office since I left the city. Emmy, I've been here, in this apartment, alone growing his child. I know. I believe you. I've always believed you. Emmy's voice cracked. I should have called sooner. I should have told you what he was saying. But I only found out 2 days ago. I ran into his brother at a charity event. Bradley was surprised I was even asking about you. He said everyone knew you were gone. Gone. That was the word he used. Gone. Like you were dead. Like you had ceased to exist. Margot stood up. Her legs felt unsteady. The baby shifted, pressing against her bladder. She walked to the window and looked out at the quiet Virginia street. The trees were green. The sidewalks were empty. A cardinal sat on the fence, watching nothing. She had come here because Colton said the city stress was bad for the pregnancy. He had found her this apartment. He had paid the first 3 months of rent. He had promised to visit every weekend. He had said it was temporary, just until she felt better, just until the baby was stronger, just until the merger was complete. He had visited twice. Then the calls became shorter. Then they stopped altogether. She had told herself he was busy. She had told herself the distance was hard for him too. She had told herself a lot of things. Now she understood. She had not disappeared. She had been erased. I have to go, Margot said. Don't do anything crazy, please. Just wait until I get there. I'm driving up tomorrow. We'll figure this out together. I'm not going to do anything crazy. Margot, I'm just going to think. I need time to process this. I need to understand what's happening. Promise me you won't do anything until I get there. I promise, she ended the call. The invitation sat on the couch where she had dropped it. Ivory linen, gold letters, a fairy tale for someone else. Margot walked to the bathroom. She stood in front of the mirror. Her face was rounder than it used to be. Her hair was longer. Her eyes looked tired, older, like she had aged 5 years and 5 months. Her belly was enormous, undeniable, real. I'm not crazy, she said to her reflection. The words echoed in the small bathroom, bounced off the tiles, came back to her like a promise. I was never crazy. He just needed everyone to think I was. The baby kicked again, 3 times in quick succession, as if agreeing, as if saying, yes, we're real. We exist. He can't erase us. Outside, the sun was setting. The sky turned orange and pink, beautiful and different. The world kept spinning whether your heart was breaking or not. Margot's mother called it 7. Ruth Sinclair had a sixth sense for trouble. She had developed it during 30 years of marriage to a man who kept secrets. She had refined it raising a daughter who tried too hard to see the best in people. Something's wrong, Ruth said without preamble. I can feel it. Mom, don't mom me. I've been feeling uneasy all day. Couldn't concentrate. Kept checking my phone, then Emmy called me an hour ago, told me what happened, told me what that man has been saying. Margot sighed. She wasn't supposed to call you. I wanted to tell you myself. Well, she did call, and now I'm coming over. I'm already in the car. I'll be there in 20 minutes. Mom, it's a 2-hour drive from Richmond. I left an hour and 40 minutes ago. I told you I felt something was wrong. Ruth arrived in exactly 20 minutes. She walked through the door without knocking. She took one look at Margot and pulled her into a hug that lasted a full minute. The kind of hug that says, I've got you. The kind of hug only a mother can give. That man, Ruth said into Margot's hair, that absolute waste of oxygen. I don't understand how this happened. How he could say those things. How people could believe him. Ruth released her and walked to the kitchen. She filled the kettle and set it on the stove. She had always believed tea could solve anything, or at least make it bearable. I understand exactly how it happened, she said. He's a liar. He's always been a liar. I told you that 2 years ago when you first brought him home. You said you had concerns. You said he seemed too polished. I had more than concerns. I had instincts. A mother knows. And I knew there was something wrong with that man. Something hollow behind those pretty eyes. The kettle began to warm. Ruth turned to face her daughter. Her expression was strange, complicated, almost guilty. There's something I need to tell you, she said. Something I should have told you months ago. What? Ruth opened her purse. She pulled out a folder. It was thick, worn at the edges, like it had been handled many times, like someone had added to it over months, maybe years. I kept everything, she said. Every text message he sent you that you forwarded to me. Every email you shared. Every screenshot you took and forgot about. Every receipt from the account you shared. Every photo with a timestamp. I printed it all. I dated it all. I organized it all. Margot stared at the folder. Why? When did you start doing this? 2 years ago, right after you moved in with him. I didn't trust him. I couldn't explain why, but I wanted to be ready if this day ever came. Ruth set the folder on the kitchen table. It landed with a thump that seemed to echo in the small room. Everything in here proves that he knew about the pregnancy, that he supported it, that he was involved every step of the way. If he's telling people you imagined it, this folder says otherwise. Margot opened it with trembling hands. The first page was a screenshot of a text message from Colton, dated 5 months ago, the day before he sent her to Virginia. Our baby is going to be perfect. I can't wait to meet her. I've already picked out names, Margaret after your grandmother, or maybe something more modern. What do you think? The next page was a bank statement, a transfer of $8,000 from their joint account to her personal account. The memo line read, baby expenses, month 1. He knew, Margot whispered. The words felt strange in her mouth, like a revelation that was also obvious. He knew about the baby. He supported the pregnancy. He sent money. He did more than that. Ruth pointed to a section near the back of the folder. Look at the emails, the ones from 3 months ago. Margot flipped through the pages. Her hands were shaking now. The papers rustled like leaves in a storm. The emails were between Colton and someone named Richard Vance, Esquire, attorney at law. They discussed managing the situation. They used phrases like clean break and narrative control and plausible deniability. They talked about establishing groundwork and protecting assets and ensuring compliance.